The story begins with the world's most powerful adventurer party, the Silverwing Battalion, setting out to hunt a gigantic ice dragon. As soon as the fight started, the dragon swept the entire battlefield with its heavy tail, but the adventurers dodged in time. Then they used their strongest attack spells, but shockingly, the massive beast took absolutely no damage. The dragon was not going to stay quiet either. It immediately released a terrifying ice breath attack. The party's mage cast defense magic, but the attack was so powerful that the barrier broke easily. Just at that moment, the party's cook, Dennis, stepped forward and blocked the attack with his arm. Yes, the mage's arm got injured, but Dennis created a healing potion with his magic without panicking, healed her, and boosted her morale. Seeing all this, Vice Captain Katie smiled slightly, clearly impressed. But right then, jealousy became clearly visible on Captain Vigo's face, and in anger, he summoned his magical dagger. He attacked the dragon's eye, causing the dragon to go berserk and attacked the entire party with dark lightning bolts. Katie and Vigo made one last attempt together to take down the monster, but nothing worked. In the end, the whole party had to retreat, and later the captain called an urgent meeting. The noticeable thing was that the vice captain's seat was empty. Breaking the silence, Dennis asked why the meeting was called. Then Vigo spoke and put the blame directly on Dennis, claiming that if Dennis hadn't interfered and used his dead voice skill to scare the dragon, they would have won. Dennis immediately opposed this and clearly stated that the order came from Vigo himself, but Vigo retorted that he would never make such a rookie decision. Dennis reminded him that their goal was to collect the gold dragon's rare drops, but when the dragon went into rage mode, the situation became dangerous. At that exact moment, Vigo had asked him to use the intimidation skill. The quest failed, but thanks to that decision, everyone returned alive. At that time, Dennis considered Vigo a bold leader, but now it seemed the captain was using that moment to shift all the blame onto him. Vigo didn't stop there. He accused Dennis of being a spy for a rival party and kicked him out of the party. Dennis looked around, hoping someone would speak in his support, but the entire squad remained silent. No one dared to speak against the big boss, so Dennis was forced to accept it peacefully. Then Vigo called him just a lowly chef, and that was where Dennis lost his patience. He powered up his butcher knives with magic and got ready for a fight, while Vigo kept taunting him, saying that even at level 99, Dennis would remain just a cook. Tension was at its peak as both released their dominating auras. It seemed like a deadly fight was about to start inside the Silver Dragon HQ, but suddenly Dennis stopped himself. He slammed his hand on the table, said this party was no longer his headache, and left without looking back to start a new journey with his dream of being a chef. While passing through a busy street, Dennis looked at the royal capital one last time. Just then, a small girl bumped into him and her balloon slipped from her hand. Dennis immediately dropped his bag, jumped, caught the balloon, and gave it back to her. He also said lovingly that one should not let go of things that are important. Vigo was watching all this from a distance with an evil smile on his face as his real plan ran through his mind. As soon as Dennis walked out of the city gate, Katie ran up from behind. Dennis did not stop walking, but Katie asked who would make alchemy, medicines, and food for them now. Dennis calmly said that someone else would take his place with the same skills. Katie got emotional and said their party became the world's strongest only because of Dennis, and most people didn't even know he always supported them from the rear. In a last attempt, Katie requested him to make at least one final dinner and a few more meals. Dennis looked at her and asked if that was the only thing on her mind. Katie understood that whatever she said, Dennis's decision would not change, so she calmed down a bit and asked what his future plan was. Dennis shared his dream of opening a restaurant and also thanked Katie for giving him a chance in Silver Wing. He remembered that Vigo was always jealous of how close Dennis and Katie's bond was, and somewhere his interest in Katie was also visible. Dennis said sorry with a heavy heart that he could not stay, and with a simple goodbye, he left his adventurer life behind. The story moved forward, and Dennis finally reached a small town where he wanted to open his restaurant. While looking for supplies, he went to a shop where the owner, Polvo, tried to sell him an overpriced fridge called an icebox. Before purchasing, Dennis remembered his favorite book, How to Open a Restaurant for Retired Adventurers. He immediately opened the book and confirmed that keeping starting costs low was better, then remembered he could use ice magic himself, and clearly told Polvo that now ice box was not needed. Walking out of the shop, Dennis felt a bit proud and held his book in his hand, because his plan was to follow it word for word. He bought an abandoned property at a very low price. Local suppliers were dealt with respectfully, and he bought pots for the kitchen too. Everything seemed ready. Just then, a page in the book caught his eye, suggesting that hiring a server would be better than working alone. At this exact moment, Dennis saw a crowd gathered nearby around a slave merchant. He was selling a slave, a girl who was previously the daughter of a noble family, but her parents lost and were exiled. The slave trader kept praising her. Together get a higher price. People in the crowd passed strange and disturbing comments about the girl, which made Dennis feel bad, but he convinced himself that he could not help everyone. But as soon as the girl lifted her face and looked towards Dennis, he saw his past self in her eyes. The bidding started and reached from 300,000 to 800,000. Suddenly, Dennis lost his control and directly offered 1 million. The entire crowd went into shock. The slave trader became happy and was about to give the girl to Dennis when Polvo cut in and bid 1.5 million. Not being able to tolerate that creepy man, Dennis immediately placed a bid of 2 million. The bidding increased further, crossing 4 million, and in the end, Dennis spent all his money to buy the girl, leaving almost nothing for himself. After that, he got the girl new clothes, and she looked quite cute in them. In the evening, the girl walked silently behind Dennis. Dennis told her to stay close, but she still got lost in the crowd. People pushed her. She repeatedly bumped into people and got scolded. Wherever she looked, she saw a cold and unknown world where everyone seemed like monsters. She gripped her dress tightly and stopped right there. Just then, Dennis found her and said he was quite worried when she got lost. He brought her back and also apologized, saying perhaps he was walking a bit too fast. The girl finally spoke and asked why he even bought her. Dennis replied that she reminded him of a memory from his past. Then he made her feel comfortable and asked her name. Initially, the girl said to just call her slave, but Dennis gently insisted, and then she revealed her name was Alya. Dennis also politely introduced himself. When Alya asked what she would have to do, Dennis said the second floor was hers. She could go whenever she wanted, and she was free to leave anytime. The girl just stared at him in disbelief. Just then, her stomach growled loudly. Hearing this, Dennis smiled slightly and lovingly told her to wait a while, saying he would make something. The chef started working with his full skills, adding each ingredient with absolutely perfect timing. In just a few seconds, a shiny, mouth-watering dish was ready. The girl watched his every movement silent, and as soon as she put the first spoonful in her mouth, her eyes lit up with happiness. She finished the entire plate without stopping and couldn't control herself as tears started flowing. Dennis understood that the girl must have suffered a lot in her life, so he did not pressure her by asking about her past until she was ready herself. Dennis kept smiling as he watched her eat, but as soon as he casually asked how the taste was, Alya stuffed her mouth a bit too much and suddenly started coughing, making strange noises. Seeing this, Dennis panicked a little, thinking about what would happen if someone heard that. The next morning, Alya had cleaned the entire place. Everything from the floor to the counter was shining. Dennis gave her a set of cooking clothes and then asked her to taste the dishes he made. He involved her in every small task, and now, instead of walking behind him, the girl started walking side by side with him. When all preparations were complete, Dennis shouted with energy and even fist bumped her. Then he officially decided the name of the place, Adventurer's Restaurant, and explained Alya's new duties to her. Dennis thought to himself that he had just one wish, that people would become such fans of his food that they would come to eat 3 times a day, and most importantly, actually pay, because right now Dennis was literally broke. Just then, the restaurant's sliding door opened, and an adventurer entered, wearing full, heavy, retro-style armor from head to toe without a single gap. Dennis went absolutely silent for a second, then remembered a lesson from the guidebook. Sometimes such customers come who do not want conversation. One should respect their boundaries and just make their stay comfortable. With this thought, Dennis smiled and told Alya to bring a cup of water. The knight sat silently reading the menu while Dennis watched him carefully, thinking he might order a complicated high-level dish. But with a little hesitation, he pointed at just a small rice ball, then a topping. Dennis asked if he wanted anything else, but the knight absolutely refused in a strict tone. When Dennis asked if he was a light eater, and the answer was no, Dennis understood that the problem was not appetite, but money. Dennis sighed slightly and said he would make a katsudon. Just then, the knight's voice, her voice trembled a little, and she said she didn't have that much money. Dennis got a bit irritated and said that people with strong bodies should eat good food, but the very next second his brain froze. A girl's voice coming from inside the helmet. Sometime later, that lady knight revealed her name, Henrietta. She slowly opened up and revealed that her party had also kicked her out because they believed that female knights were not strong and became a burden to the party. Henrietta clearly stated that gender had nothing to do with skill, and Dennis agreed. She also accepted that right now she was only level 23, but Dennis said that for this level she was doing quite well. Then Henrietta suddenly got excited when the topic of the Silver Wing party came up, mentioning that their vice captain was also a female swordswoman. Henrietta started fangirling about the legendary Crimson Sword, who was considered the world's most powerful female swordswoman. Dennis muttered under his breath that she was also quite a pain. Henrietta asked what he said, and Dennis immediately said nothing. Then Henrietta confessed that she was trying to join a party without speaking, so that no one would know she was a girl, but joining a party without talking was almost impossible. Now there was no party left, no money, and no work. Dennis listened to her carefully, and then placed a hot, mouth-watering katsudon in front of her, saying to eat it while it was hot and pay later. As soon as Henrietta took the first bite, her eyes lit up. The crispy cutlet was so tasty that she spoke up with her cheeks full, saying this was the best food in the world. After eating, she said thanks. So Dennis said if she wanted to say thanks, she should become a regular. Henrietta was ready, but the problem was that without a party, she could not earn. Here Dennis got an idea. He said he would ask his customers if anyone needed a female knight, and told Henrietta to come again. Perhaps a group would be found by then. In a short while, a group of guys entered the restaurant. After eating, they were shocked that the food was so delicious, and the small waitress was also quite cute. They gave Dennis a compliment. Dennis got happy and asked Alya if she was also happy hearing she was cute. Alya, without saying anything, walked away quietly with zero expression, but still seemed a little happier than before when she served an old lady. Then Dennis overheard that they were about to leave for their next adventure. Dennis immediately asked if they were a party, and mentioned that he knew a swordswoman who was looking for a party. As soon as they found out the girl was skilled, the leader immediately got ready and said she could join from tomorrow itself. Dennis was a bit surprised, but the leader said their party urgently needed a strong attacker. In the evening, Henrietta was almost in disbelief that she found a party so quickly. She thanked Dennis and promised to spend her first salary at his restaurant. Dennis thought a little and said she should be a bit careful before joining the party, but before he could explain, Henrietta said that if she thought about every small thing, she wouldn't be able to do anything. Dennis understood that she had made her decision. He made another delicious dish for her that melted all of Henrietta's tension. Talking awkwardly with her mouth full, she promised while eating that she would definitely repay this debt. When she thought about what she would order tomorrow, Dennis realized that perhaps this girl would truly eat every meal here. Both said goodbye. At night, when Dennis and Alya were cleaning in the back, the last two customers were talking about how amazing the food was. Then the girls discussed a rumor about a party that recruited solo female adventurers and took them inside dungeons to assault them. Hearing this, Dennis became alert. The girls said they didn't get caught because they left the victims right there and then shifted to the next town. Those four men immediately came to Dennis's mind, and he hoped they weren't the same people. The next morning, Henrietta was formally introduced to them. The leader's name was Steele. The other three also gave their intros. Steele said that in the party, everyone could stay relaxed despite him being the leader. Then, everyone set off towards the forest. Henrietta asked what the quest was, so Steele said it was a simple gathering request, just to go inside and collect some items. Henrietta was curious about what the items were, but they said they would tell her inside. She kept walking silently so it wouldn't feel awkward. On the dungeon's first level, she easily defeated all the monsters, but the party members praised her, and she started blushing. When Steele said that they had to go deeper, Henrietta got happy. She felt the party was relying on her, unlike before where she was judged only for being a girl. She felt everything would be perfect, but she didn't know that behind her back, the fake smiles on their faces had disappeared. As the party went deeper, a trap triggered, and a giant golem was summoned. Henrietta stepped forward without thinking and cut off its arm in a single strike. She kept fighting as the main damage dealer for hours, until her legs gave up. Steele pretended to be surprised that she was tired. Henrietta reminded him that he had said the destination wasn't too deep. Steele said just a little more, and Henrietta pushed herself until they reached the crystal mine. Right there, they finally explained that they had come to collect blue crystals called memory crystals. As soon as this was cleared up, they immediately started picking up crystals. Hearing this, Henrietta felt slightly relieved and absolutely exhausted, sat down right there. Then Steele told the mage, Marmok, to use recovery magic on Henrietta, but instead of healing, Marmok cast a stun spell. As soon as the spell hit, Henrietta's entire body went weak. As she tried to grab her sword, Steele stepped hard on her hand and kicked the sword away. Now Henrietta understood that she had been stunned. Steele stood with his foot on her and said in a sarcastic tone, "Thank you for being so dumb and flattered." Marmok, instead of defending her, said something even nastier. He said that was exactly the problem, because she was so dumb. They were going to make nice memories with her. Steele, looking at her with dirty eyes, said that swordswomen were the best prey. Strong body, perfect target. Then he gave the good news that the gang, after having their fun, would let her go after an hour. Marmok said with a cold smile not to hope for rescue, because under the stun's effect, she wouldn't even be able to move. At that moment, Henrietta realized she wished she had listened to Dennis and been a bit careful, since she had already felt these people were behaving shadily. Then they started removing her heavy armor one by one. Steele clearly stated that no matter how much she screamed, no one was going to come here. Henrietta's hope was just about to break when suddenly a strange sound came, as if another party was approaching. everything. Steele immediately sent Handok to check, but before that, a large rock flew through the air and hit Handok directly. Everyone looked at that figure in shock. A strange monster with 2 butcher knives in its hands and a bag tied over its face. Hearts started beating fast. No one could understand if this was a monster or some extremely beefy psycho chef with kitchen knives. Steele, in a panic, ordered Marmok to use a search spell to find a weakness, but the spell failed. Marmok realized that this butcher's level was so high that no weakness was being detected. Steele found this unbelievable, and just then, in a blink, that butcher appeared behind him. A single knife strike lifted Steele up and slammed him against the wall. The others trembled. They tried to run, but the butcher showed them all their place. Amidst all this, Henrietta was only thinking who this strangely skilled chef was who was saving her, and then she fainted. Later in the evening, Henrietta told Dennis everything. She said she woke up in the guild's waiting room, and the worst part was she couldn't even say thanks to her hero with cleavers. Dennis listened calmly and understood how traumatic an experience it must have been. Henrietta also mentioned that, strangely enough, her attackers were found neatly tied up outside the dungeon entrance. After investigation, it was found that there was already a bounty on all of them. Henrietta said everything felt like a dream, but one lesson was clear. She would be more careful when choosing teammates in the future, just as Dennis had said. Dennis also felt a bit guilty that he hadn't checked properly on those people beforehand, but Henrietta said he had only helped. Just then, her stomach growled loudly. She panicked and said she was still broke, but Dennis said with a smile, "Order whatever you want without thinking." Hearing this, she shyly ordered the Supreme Hagen steak set. Dennis was almost shocked because this was the most expensive item on the menu. Henrietta immediately backed off and started to take the cheapest dish, but Dennis said orders couldn't be canceled. He told Alya to take the rest of the day off and join for dinner. Just then, regular customers also arrived and ordered palama gratin. In a short while, Dennis completed the cooking with precision. Seeing the Supreme Hagen steak set, both Henrietta and Alya's eyes lit up. While eating, the girls asked why the restaurant had been closed for the past 2 days. It was risky for a new business. Dennis said some important work had come up. Henrietta got a little curious. Dennis's figure from the back seemed like her hero. She was just about to ask something when another customer arrived. The next morning, Henrietta kept talking non-stop. When she finally asked a question, Dennis said he didn't think she was talking to him. Then, smoothly changing the topic, he asked what she would eat. She named sorcery ramen and ordered. Dennis started working and said he was actually listening to the whole thing. Then he came back to her question and asked why she wanted to hide her gender. Henrietta had no answer. Dennis said, "Do whatever you feel is right." Then he placed the steaming ramen in front of her. Henrietta quietly kept that thought in her heart. She got up, borrowed the back room, and went inside to take off all her armor. When she came back, she was in a completely different outfit. While walking, she thought that people often forget themselves, but today she felt it was better to stay like herself. Alya also nodded, and Henrietta blushed. She started eating again, and with every bite, enjoyed every bite. Dennis was happy to see her. Then he suddenly asked if she wanted to join the party. He reminded her that after finishing the food, she would have to find a job and then clear the bill. As soon as Henrietta found out that Dennis was maintaining a tab, she went into panic mode and started making a fuss. Amidst this chaos, the door slid open and a shiny adventurer entered. He sat calmly and hid behind the menu. Dennis got confused seeing that customer. He could not understand if it was a handsome boy or a cute girl. When he asked what was good there, Dennis confidently said everything was top-notch. But this vague answer made the decision even more difficult for that guest. After a little complaint, the chef recommended katsudon, but the customer immediately refused. He said he was not in the mood to eat rice. Henrietta jumped in and started giving some suggestions. First, her favorite pasta, then udon, but nothing could impress the guest. Seeing this, Dennis's patience started slowly running out. Irritation began to look clear. Henrietta intervened again, and to calm the chef said that kids are usually a bit indecisive. There was no need to get angry about this. Just then, Alya went to the customer and softly suggested that if he could not make a decision, he could try fried rice. The blue-haired guest accepted this suggestion and ordered fried rice. Hearing this, a slight smile appeared on Dennis's face, and he went back to the kitchen. With his usual finesse, he made the fried rice perfectly. He added some shrimps on top. As soon as the customer put the first spoon in his mouth, he froze right there. In pure awe, the rich, delicious flavor absolutely melted him. While the boy kept eating, Dennis casually said that he had noticed that he was sighing while entering as if he wanted to talk to someone. The boy said there was no such thing. Dennis calmly said if he didn't want to share, there was no problem. But still, the boy opened up himself. He said that the real problem was that the level of people around him was very low. Hearing his words, everyone along with Dennis got shocked. From the boy's attitude, it clearly seemed he liked praising himself. Then, he asked Dennis if he would like to hear in detail. Dennis refused, but the boy started speaking anyway. He explained that people had weak mindsets. They only wanted praise. They didn't push themselves to become a truly top-tier party. Dennis looked at Henrietta and said to have some shame. Henrietta frowned and said that the chef sometimes became too rude. Meanwhile, the boy slammed his hand on the table and stood up, clearly wanting attention. He spoke loudly that he could not tolerate those unmotivated adventurers, and such an attitude was absolutely unforgivable. Then he bluffed again and said that when he spoke like this in front of his party, they kicked him out. Hearing this, Dennis felt awkward and thought why his restaurant was attracting outcasts from everywhere. Henrietta said she didn't know either. The boy then confidently declared that he would soon become so strong that he would join Silverwing and become their most powerful wizard. Dennis warned him that with too much overconfidence, he would remain alone. After eating, the boy paid and introduced himself as Vivia Strange and said next time he would order shrimp fried rice. He came the next time too and ordered without wasting time. As always, he kept talking nonstop and announced that he had decided to join the strongest party here, Night Mist Troop. He boasted that he had quite advanced skills and would soon reach Silverwing. Dennis brought the food, and the boy kept dreaming about his bright future. Dennis quietly hoped that the boy would find a party that would actually help him grow. Then Dennis asked him about his first quest. Vivia said he was going to collect test synthesis materials around the 5th floor. Hearing this, Dennis became a little uneasy. He used his search skill and found out that the boy was only level 17. The level was high for his age, but Dennis knew that the 5th floor was usually for those in their mid-30s. He asked if he didn't think it was a bit too deep. The boy confidently said that the party's elite members would support him. Dennis remembered how the boy was bluffing about advanced skills. Now he felt that perhaps the boy had only read books and convinced himself that he could use them all. Level actually reflected the quantity and quality of skills. If he truly had so many skills, the level would be much higher. Vivia said this just showed how much expectations the party had of him. Dennis still remained concerned. The boy spoke in a slightly condescending tone that a chef like him would not understand all this because perhaps he had never gone to a dungeon. Dennis just played along, while the last time he had gone up to the 37th floor. While leaving, the boy said next time he would eat crab fried rice. A little later, Dennis and Alya went out for shopping. The small girl kept counting eggs and meat in a cute way so that nothing would be missed. Meanwhile, Dennis was lost in thoughts. He thought about Vivia. Perhaps he would have reached the 5th floor by now. He thought that. Dennis wondered if he should have stopped the boy, but then convinced himself otherwise. Alya tugged at his clothes and said she hoped Vivia would be safe. Just then, 2 adventurers passed by talking. They said that their captain, Hopper, had intentionally sent Vivia to the 5th floor just to see if he would survive or not. Hearing this, Dennis's face hardened, and he immediately grabbed both of them, dragged them into a back alley, and slammed them onto the ground. Both drew their weapons and said that they were members of the Night Mist Troop, but they were the ones who got beaten up. Dennis calmly extracted information and left the place. Returning to Alya, he apologized and said the restaurant would remain closed today. Alya also looked worried and softly told him to stay safe. Dennis smiled and said not to worry. At this same moment, on the dungeon's 5th floor, Vivia was running in panic, screaming at goblins to stay away. The adventurers who came with him had already left him behind, saying this was a test and Captain Hopper had high hopes for him. Vivia got scared and thought that if he could just reach the 3rd level, he would be safe. But while running, he fell, and suddenly vines started growing around his legs. And from there, the situation became even more dangerous. Vivia tried to free himself with all his might, but the vines seemed alive, with magic pulsing through them. He tried to cast a spell to break the magic, but suddenly his mind went absolutely blank, and he couldn't remember the incantation. In panic, he started thinking that as soon as the goblins came close, they would tear him apart. Just when the goblins were about to catch him, a girl appeared there. She cut the vines and saved him using the correct spell. As soon as she dragged him to a safe place, Vivia looked up and said thanks, clearly impressed that she knew spell-breaking magic. The girl calmly said that now was not the time to relax. They had to find a way out of there. When Vivia asked if she was lost too, she revealed that her party had also left her when she fell into this same trap, and no one came to help after that. Then she said they should stay together, hoping someone might come for a rescue. To this, Vivia whispered that no one was coming for him either. Both sat talking, and slowly they realized how much alike they were. Just then, the goblins came close again. Vivia immediately tried to play the hero and said he would be the decoy so Cynthia could get time to escape. Cynthia refused and told him to stop and wait for help, but Vivia insisted. He said he wanted to repay the debt of saving his life and ran off without stopping, not even giving her a chance to stop him. Standing before the goblins, he screamed that Cynthia must survive and jumped in front of the monsters himself. He tried to keep himself calm, thinking that perhaps Cynthia was escaping safely, and cast a defensive spell named Palm to stop the goblins. The spell worked for a while, but then the creatures broke it and rushed towards him. At that exact moment, Dennis appeared there, wearing a cheap budget mask. He used his skill to trap the goblins directly inside a large cooking pot. Vivia screamed in shock, pointed a finger at him, calling him a monster, and kept casting the palm spell repeatedly in panic. Dennis scolded him, and then Vivia realized that the masked guy was Dennis. Dennis pulled off the mask and asked what was the point of wearing it anyway. Then, for the suicide stunt in front of the goblins, he slapped Vivia hard on the head. When Dennis started dragging him away, Vivia slowly revealed that there was someone else too. He feared that Cynthia might have run away, but Dennis said he didn't see anyone while coming. Vivia pointed towards a nearby hollow, saying she might be there. But when they looked inside, they found only someone's old skeletal remains. It seemed the death had occurred a long time ago. Later at the guild, it was discovered that the girl was Cynthia Dread, an adventurer who had been separated from her party on the 5th floor 13 years ago, and there was no trace of her since then. Both collected her remains together and gave her a proper grave. Dennis said he had heard about fallen adventurers, that their spirits sometimes protected the living. Hearing this, Vivia broke down and started crying. He thanked Cynthia for saving his life and promised that he would keep visiting her grave and would one day become the #1 wizard who would protect girls like her. While returning to the restaurant, Dennis gave him a light pat and told him to cheer up a bit so Cynthia could rest in peace. But Vivia just took a deep breath and said that he should at least have the right to be sad for a while. The next day at the Night Mist Troop HQ, a man called a girl named Bokal and started shouting at her, saying she took too much time to prepare the reports. Bokal kept apologizing repeatedly, but he kept bullying her without stopping. Bokal gathered courage and tried to explain that the numbers were not matching, but the man threw the bundle of papers at her head and said to keep working until the numbers matched. That night, Bokal stayed up all night and finally found the mistake. Actually, the numbers mismatch were because her senior had done sloppy work. Thinking that she had to wake up early again tomorrow morning, her stomach loudly growled. Then she realized that she had neither lunch nor dinner, and now all restaurants were closed. Just then, she remembered a new restaurant that had opened recently. But when she reached there, she saw that Alya was standing outside preparing to close the shop. Seeing this, all her hope broke. But Alya noticed her and, taking her inside, requested Dennis to serve one last customer before closing. Seeing Alya speak for someone, Vivia was a bit surprised. Henrietta said that one customer would not do any harm. Dennis also welcomed Bokal and said she could order whatever she wanted. Sitting on the seat, Bokal ordered the daily special. When Dennis was cooking, Bokal silently watched Henrietta and Vivia talking at the counter. Seeing them laughing and talking, she felt a little jealousy in her heart. Her life was just work and work. No friends, no time off. That's why she thought that perhaps she could start her social life from here. In a short while, Dennis placed the plate in front of her, and Bokal just kept staring at the food. It looked so perfect. Dennis said to eat it before it got cold. As soon as Bokal dipped it in sauce and took the first bite, her eyes lit up. She said she had never tasted anything like this in her life. Hearing this, Henrietta smiled and said that everything made by Dennis was delicious. Henrietta started listing her favorite dishes, and Vivia was amazed at how she knew so much. Then Henrietta proudly said that she was the restaurant's first customer. Dennis immediately corrected that. Along with being the first customer, she was also the first moocher who had become too comfortable just because he let her pay later. Dennis said to go find a job. Henrietta immediately retorted that. Vivia also had no job. Seeing their banter, Bokal suddenly laughed. Dennis said sorry for the disturbance. But just then everyone froze because Bokal suddenly started crying. It was running through her mind how amazing this place was. Kind people, great food, while her own life was full of only insults and sleepless nights. Every morning she woke up thinking she wished everything would end. Then she remembered her childhood when she impressed her family with her magic skills. Her parents saved money for years and sent her out of the village so she could become a great wizard. Even the school headmaster was impressed by her and had offered a job too. But Bokal wanted to earn real money to send home, so she joined the city's strongest guild. Coming back to the present, Henrietta noticed that Bokal was leaving and asked if she was okay. Vivia revealed that she worked for the Night Mist Troop, the same guild that sent him on the impossible mission. He said that he had seen Bokal only once, but the treatment she received there was quite concerning. Hearing this, Henrietta asked Dennis if he could do anything. Vivia also agreed, but Dennis said that he was just a cook. His job was to feed people, and this problem Bokal would have to face herself. The next morning, Bokal snoozed the alarm at AM and crawled back under the blanket. She hadn't slept all night, and her body felt absolutely heavy. Stressed about being late, she fell asleep again. She woke up 2 hours later and got ready quickly. As soon as she went down, she apologized to her team, but the same man scolded her, saying that making seniors wait was so shameless. Then everyone left for the dungeon. There, a wolf monster knocked that man down. As soon as it was about to bite his face, Bokal used wind magic to blow it away. But instead of saying thanks, that man pushed Bokal and glared at her. In the evening, the same words kept echoing in her ears. That man twisted the whole story and said that Bokal wanted to embarrass him and take credit for the kill. When Bokal tried to explain, everyone told her to apologize and called her useless. At the same time, Henrietta and Vivia were walking nearby, talking about food and jobs. Vivia noticed Bokal walking alone alone. There was a strange expression on her face. Both silently followed her, and reached a tower, where Vivia realized that Bokol was about to jump. At that moment, Bokol thought that life was no longer worth it. One step, and it would all be over. As soon as she jumped, Henrietta ran and caught her mid-fall, and below, Vivia cast palm to soften the landing. At that same time, Dennis was in deep thought at the restaurant. Just then, Alya walked out casually without clothes, and asked if they had run out of towels. Dennis said that just because the towels were finished didn't mean walking around like this was okay. He quickly went inside to find a towel. Just then, Henrietta entered carrying Bokal on her back. Vivia's face looked absolutely disturbed. Dennis asked angrily why Alya was walking around without clothes, and if this was some shameless business tactic. He shouted to put on clothes, but Alya calmly said that until her body dried properly, she wouldn't wear anything. Just then, Henrietta called Dennis again. He turned to scold her, but stopped when he saw Bokal lying unconscious on her shoulder. Later, Dennis said that this was bound to happen, because Bokal is the type of girl who is so honest that she keeps taking on work until her heart just gives out. Vivia immediately joked that Henrietta would never have this problem. Dennis felt it was a bit strange that these people had become so comfortable so quickly. While Alya was taking care of Bokal upstairs, Vivia asked what the solution to this problem would be. To this, Dennis decided that he would have to talk directly to the Night Mist troop. A few hours later, the Night Mist captain himself came and apologized to Dennis for the trouble caused by Bokal. But Dennis straight up said that he should also apologize because he had beaten 2 of his men. That man introduced himself as Hopper, captain of the Night Mist party. Dennis just said that he runs a restaurant. As the conversation progressed, Dennis realized that Hopper was much stronger than normal adventurers, level 51, which is expected for the top party of this city. When Hopper brought up the topic of Bokal, Dennis revealed that she was resting on the bed upstairs and was clearly not in a condition to work. Dennis politely asked if they would let her leave the party so she could rest, but Hopper refused and said that they had full custody over her. His lackey slammed a contract on the table. Dennis read it and got angry. He said this contract was trash because all the work had been dumped on a single person. Hopper calmly said that their system worked just like this. Dennis argued that adventurers should have the right to leave the party. Hopper told him to do his job, which triggered Dennis so much that he shouted saying they were using Bokal like slave masters. Hearing this, Hopper got so angry that he broke the mug with his hand, which scared both Vivia and Henrietta. Then Hopper said that their party was the strongest in the city, so they were the law. He demanded that Dennis hand Bokal over to them immediately and said that this was the last time he was asking politely. Upstairs, Bokal was curled up on the bed, thinking she wished she hadn't been saved at all. Just then, Alya said that if Bokal wanted to die, she was free to make that choice. She said that she too had once thought of choosing death when everything was taken from her, and she was made a slave. She had drowned in darkness and lost hope. But then, something good happened in her life that changed everything. Alya told Bokal to try eating tasty food once, and if she still felt the same after that, then perhaps that was the only path left. Still, she said that if Bokal chose to stay alive, she would be happier. Downstairs, Dennis asked Hopper if he considered himself a king. Hopper smiled and said that in a dungeon town, the strongest party owns the city because no one can defeat them. He even cited Silver Wing as an example. Dennis said that Silver Wing was completely different from lowlifes like them. Hopper argued that the only difference was that Silver Wing controlled nobles and royals while they controlled a small town. Then he called Dennis's restaurant shabby and said it could burn down easily. When Dennis asked if that was a threat, Hopper laughed and said that if some worthless restaurant burned down, no one would care. In anger, it looked like Dennis would punch him. Just then, the door opened. Katie entered with a bright smile and said the restaurant looked quite cozy, exactly to her liking. Dennis apologized and said he was busy with a serious matter. But hearing this, Katie got even more annoyed. She said she came from so far just to see him and asked if he wouldn't even make dinner for her. Then, Hopper's face went pale when he saw Katie's crimson hair and the silver wing symbol on her coat. He spoke her title out loud, but Katie got offended that some random man was using her title casually. Then she turned back to Dennis and kept demanding dinner. Dennis told her to wait at the counter for a bit until the discussion ended, which made her start pouting. Dennis then turned back to Hopper and said he didn't want to fight. He was just asking if Bokal could peacefully leave the troop. Hopper was just about to answer when Katie shouted that she wanted to take that cute blue-haired girl. Dennis immediately corrected that he was not a girl but a boy. In confusion, Vivia asked if she was the vice captain of Silver Wing and how she knew Dennis. Katie was surprised that Dennis had never mentioned it. Dennis was about to stop her, but she casually revealed that Dennis was formerly a member of Silver Wing and also her best partner. Hearing this, silence spread across the entire room, and Hopper started trembling, realizing he had made an enemy of the wrong man. His lackey asked what to do now, so Hopper immediately said to burn the contract. Bokal was free, and while leaving hurriedly, wished for her speedy recovery. After they left, Katie said she didn't like their attitude at all, especially especially because they messed with her Dennis. Dennis reminded her that he was not hers. Katie said that if she wanted, she could have them all thrown out of the kingdom. Dennis was thankful, but warned her not to overdo it just because she had power. This irritated her a little, but his kind heart was the thing she liked most about Dennis. While Henrietta and Vivia watched silently, Dennis asked Katie what she would eat. Just then, Alya came in with Bokal and ordered the daily special. Katie also ordered the same thing and started eating without wasting time. Bokal sat quietly watching. Dennis told her to eat before it got cold. As soon as she took the first bite, she started eating in such a cute way that everyone sitting at the table smiled. The next day, Katie entered the Silverwing HQ and heard everyone talking about how the captain was in a very bad mood these days because the party was struggling in new quests. Suddenly, Katie ran into Vigo, and his face was clearly irritated. Vigo immediately sent away two members standing nearby and directly asked Katie why she went to meet Dennis. He had found out everything from a little bird. Katie jokingly said her little bird was quite fast. Then she casually said that she just went to eat Dennis's food after a long time. But the truth was that after enjoying the daily special, Katie had given Dennis an invitation to rejoin Silverwing because the team was slowly falling apart without him. Dennis had made it absolutely clear that he had no plans to return, even after Katie told him how rough things were going for Vigo and the other members. Dennis explained that he genuinely liked his new life. Yes, his regular customers were a bit strange, but this stress-free life gave him a lot of peace. When Katie asked if her begging would change anything, Dennis calmly reminded her that he was a chef from the beginning, not an adventurer. Hearing this, Katie became a little sad. She tried to convince Vigo to invite Dennis, but Vigo straight up refused and said to forget this topic. Katie argued that when Dennis was in the team, everything was running so smoothly, so why couldn't they call him back? But Vigo left without saying anything. Meanwhile, the restaurant became more crowded than before. Henrietta said this was obvious as Dennis cooked such good food and people couldn't resist good food. Then Vivia noticed that Bokal was also there and got a little surprised. Bokal said thanks and revealed that she was now living in the restaurant itself. Henrietta advised her not to overdo it, but Bokal said that sitting quietly made her anxious. Plus, there was a cute senior who kept helping. Just then, Dennis brought the food, and as soon as both saw it, their eyes lit up as always. Henrietta took a bite of the crispy shrimp and said that this was the reason people became regulars. Dennis immediately taunted that she was more of a freeloader than a regular. Hearing this, both Vivia and Bokal were shocked. They didn't even know that Henrietta hadn't paid yet. Henrietta defended herself, saying she was trying to find a job, just having a slightly rough time. Dennis looked at her with a cold stare, and finally, Henrietta apologized for the lazy excuses. Just then, more customers arrived. Vivia asked if Dennis would be able to handle everything. Dennis said that Alya was helping quite a lot, and Vivia also noticed that she looked happier these days. Maybe something good had happened. Suddenly, a bowl slipped from Dennis's hand. He asked Vivia if he could come on his next off day because he had to discuss a serious matter. Henrietta immediately offered that she would also help, but Dennis immediately refused. Seeing this, Henrietta became even more curious about what the matter was. That night, Henrietta felt uneasy because she had to bathe in a public bath. She was still broke. When she remembered Dennis's freeloader comment, she felt that if this continued, perhaps Dennis would kick her out of the restaurant. In this tension, she decided that something had to be done before it was too late. On the other side, on Vivia's off day, Dennis finally sat him down and said that Alya had a boyfriend. Vivia was shocked. He thought this was the matter to be discussed. Dennis explained that he had been giving her a little allowance, but now she kept wandering alone. He said he was quite worried until he saw her roaming with a boy. Vivia said she might be making friends, but Dennis slammed his hand on the table and said if it was more than friends, it was even worse. When Vivia asked why Dennis didn't just ask Alya directly, Dennis got flustered and said that would seem creepy. He said angrily that at least the boy should have brought a box of cookies if he was serious. Then, in a dramatic tone, he declared that no weakling below level 80 could even come near her. Just then, Alya came from behind, tugged his shirt, and asked what he was saying. Dennis panicked absolutely. Vivia immediately covered and said he had come to learn cooking. Dennis gave him a thumbs up for the quick save. Just then, Alya herself said that she also wanted to learn cooking. Dennis got happy and said to wash hands first. Later, he showed her how chopping onions the right way changes the taste. When Alya said her eyes were burning, Dennis got worried and immediately told her a trick. But when Vivia said his eyes were also burning, Dennis just wished him good luck. When Alya cut the onion correctly, Dennis praised her. But when Vivia did a good job, Dennis barely reacted. Seeing Alya working hard, Dennis remembered his childhood when he had asked his master if he was doing well. His master had said that he cheated using a skill. When he asked how she knew, she said she always knew. In the present, Alya brought him back to reality and said she made a mistake while breaking the egg. Dennis taught her how to fix it, how to crack the egg, mix it, and apply crumbs on the meat. Then they fried the meat, and in a short while, the Vittoria cutlet was ready. ready. Dennis said that for a first try, Alya did amazing. On the other hand, Vivia showed his cutlet proudly, but Dennis without. Looking just said, looks good. Just then, the sound of the clock tower came, and Alya jumped up and said she had to go. Dennis asked, where? And she casually said outside, as if he knew everything. Seeing her leave, Vivia thought that perhaps she was going to meet a boyfriend, and Dennis panicked again. Just then, Bokal came out of her room. Dennis quickly told her to finish 2 bowls and then go shopping, because he had to have an urgent talk with Vivia. While Vivia clearly did not want to go, Bokal was also a little uneasy because she did not have the confidence to shop alone. At this moment, Henrietta made an entry and proudly announced that she had taken the party placement exam. Dennis ignored this and directly asked if she could help Bokal with shopping. Henrietta happily agreed. Dennis said that he was counting on them and left at full speed, while the girls remained confused, thinking what exactly happened. Inside the city, Vivia tried to explain to Dennis to stop because chasing like this, they both clearly looked like stalkers. But Dennis took this lightly and said that he was Alya's guardian. Vivia said then go and talk directly. Following in such a creepy way was not right. Just then Dennis grabbed Vivia's head and pointed towards the boy, who was daring to charm his cute girl. Vivia said it was not sure yet if he was just a friend or something more. But as soon as that boy took Alya inside a jewelry shop, Dennis's mind was shaken. He felt that a wedding ring buying scene was happening right now, which was clearly too early. First, Vivia asked if they should also go inside, but seeing Dennis's mental breakdown, he made a better plan. Over nearby, Henrietta was sitting alone, a bit tense. Bokal asked her what happened. Henrietta honestly revealed that she had to earn money quickly, otherwise Dennis might start hating her. When Bokal asked about the payment of her odd jobs, Henrietta said that all the money went either into gear repair or buying healing items, because she got hurt in every mission. Her money vanished as soon as it came, which made sense because she was in the tank role. Henrietta said she was thinking of another way to repay Dennis's debt, and Bokal promised that she would support her. Hearing this, Henrietta felt a little better. Just then, they overheard 2 people gossiping that the Night Mist captain got badly humiliated by a restaurant owner who was formerly a member of Silver Wing. They wondered if Night Mist was planning revenge. Over there, Dennis was still unable to understand how Vivia's genius plan with the megaphone would work. Vivia explained that this device was enchanted with magic that could transmit sound far away. Dennis still didn't understand, so Vivia said that this was where the role of a genius mage like him came in. As soon as Dennis cast the spell, Alya's voice was heard from that device. Dennis got genuinely impressed, while Vivia accepted that he felt a bit weird doing all this. Just then, Alya said that she liked it very much. It was cool and she would always treasure it. Hearing this, both were shocked. But as soon as Alya said that she was happy she met Dennis, Dennis panicked so loudly that an old woman passing by became suspicious. At that moment, a thief used wind magic to steal that old woman's bag and ran away. Dennis shouted for help, and as soon as he found out that only the bag was stolen, Dennis asked Vivia for a magic boost. Over there, the blonde thief was laughing, thinking how easy the job was. Just then, he looked back. A scary man was running at full speed with a boy sitting on his shoulder. The thief was shocked that someone was able to chase him even while he was using wind magic. Then he realized that Dennis was not using wind magic at all. Vivia asked if all members of Silverwing were so fast, and Dennis casually said that he was the fastest because he never skipped leg day. At a dead end, the thief jumped onto the roof using wind magic, while Dennis climbed up using just muscle power. Dennis asked Vivia if there was any useful spell, so Vivia cast Palm, which tossed Dennis up like a trampoline. The blonde thief was watching in horror as Dennis reached him in midair, but the thief made a surprise attack at the last moment and escaped, bragging that with such magic, it was difficult to catch him. Dennis told Vivia to get down as soon as they landed. While coming down, Vivia saw the girls ahead. As soon as the thief passed by them, he thought he would escape by running just a little more. But just then, Henrietta came from above with a serious face and knocked that overconfident thief down in a single move. A little later, Dennis also arrived and lovingly placed his hand on Henrietta's head and praised her. Back at the restaurant, Dennis told everyone that Alya might have a boyfriend. Vivia clarified that it was not sure yet. Henrietta jokingly asked if Dennis was feeling lonely these days. Bokal straight up says she is scared that Dennis might ban her. Dennis says he will never ban someone who appreciates his food. Yes, if his mood changes later, that's a different story. Just then, Alya quietly enters, goes behind the counter, and surprises Dennis by giving him a box. Inside is a bracelet which Alya reveals she bought by saving all her allowance. Hearing this, Bokal laughs and says that Dennis had thought completely wrong. When Alya asks what that means, Henrietta spills the truth, which almost becomes her permanent ban. Dennis wears the bracelet, and seeing him wear it, Alya smiles. Meanwhile, Captain Vigo goes to a mansion after a long time to meet someone. The next day at the restaurant, Dennis tells Alya to clean outside, but just then a customer arrives. Dennis says that lunch hours are over, but the customer starts crying with joy seeing Alya safe. Dennis doesn't understand anything. Henrietta thinks he must be some weird lover, and and gets ready to take immediate action. But the old man reveals that he is Stevens, head butler of Lady Alya Wockstock. Hearing this, Dennis and Henrietta get curious, while the other two's minds are blown. Vivia says, "Do they live under a rock?" Vocal explains that House Wockstock is the kingdom's largest and most prestigious mage family. Dennis gets completely shocked. Crying, the butler declares that now the time has come for the young lady's revenge. Sitting down, he says it is so tragic that she has to live in such a backwater restaurant, which makes Dennis want to throw him out. Vivia stops him and says to listen first. Stevens reveals that he is the former head butler and the royal court has ordered him to bring back the young lady. He says that Alya's father's brother, Joseph, called her illegitimate and threw her out of the house. But now, the father's will has been found, which clearly states that Alya is the true heir and all power and fortune will go to her. That is why the royal court has given her a chance to present her case. Stevens begs Alya to return, stop her uncle's cruelty, and become the rightful heir of House Wockstock. But silence spreads across the entire room when Alya refuses straight away without thinking. Dennis asks her what the matter is, and Alya softly says that she doesn't want to go back to that life because painful memories of her past are repeatedly revolving in her mind. She holds Dennis even tighter. Meanwhile, Stevens tries to convince her that working in a peasant's restaurant is not right for someone like her, which makes Dennis angry for a moment. But after thinking a little, Dennis feels there is some truth in Stevens' words. He is just a simple chef, and Alya is practically like a princess. With this feeling, Dennis gently asks Alya again if she truly doesn't want to go. Alya shyly shakes her head. Still, Dennis explains to her that she cannot ignore something that will seriously affect her future because one day she will have to face it. Hearing this, Alya gathers courage and says she will go on just one condition if Dennis goes with her. Hearing this, a different kind of pride comes inside Dennis. A few hours later, Vivia arrives wearing a fancy Sherlock Holmes-style outfit and in full excitement asks Dennis, who is already in a proper suit, if he can also come along. Dennis agrees, and the girls promise that they will handle all the restaurant work. Just then, Alya comes out wearing a blue dress, and everyone starts reacting seeing her cuteness. Dennis says that now it is time to leave, but Alya softly says she doesn't want to go, even though she knows going is necessary. Then, she starts repeating again and again that she really doesn't want to go. Dennis feels a bit proud because this was her longest sentence in the entire month. He puts his hand on her head and says he will always be with her. Meanwhile, Stevens formally asks if the young lady and her servants are ready, which irritates Dennis, even though he knows that in social status he is below him. Then everyone sets off, and the girls happily wish them a safe journey. After a long carriage journey, they reach the capital. Vivia looks at the city through the window like a village kid who has come to the city for the first time. Over there, Dennis feels a bit uneasy coming back to the capital. Just then, Vivia breaks his focus as they pass by Black's restaurant, which is considered the royal capital's best restaurant. Dennis feels like meeting his old friend, but he thinks that he won't be able to face him now. Moving forward, they reach House Wockstock, where a legal officer welcomes them and introduces himself as head of the case. Dennis introduces himself as Alya's guardian. Inside, Sestopich says that the young lady's blood test will have to be done. As soon as Alya sees the syringe in Stevens' hand, she almost collapses right there. As the needle comes closer, she keeps saying like a broken record that this is very scary, and as soon as the needle pricks, she falls down with a thud like a deflated balloon. Dennis picks her up in his arms. Sestopich says that now they will go to the courtroom, but Dennis puts her straight into Vivia's arms and tells the lawyer that first he wants to understand Alya's situation so that he can help her. Sestopich agrees and explains that Alya's father, Sir Famous Magic abilities, but some special magic is passed down only through bloodline. Hearing this, Dennis understood that Alya had inherited that same mind control power. Sestopich revealed that Sir Famous had saved a lot with his ability, but his brother, in jealousy, poisoned him so that he could snatch his beautiful wife and the position of family head. Along with that, he declared the young lady illegitimate and tried to completely ruin her reputation. But Sir Famous was quite smart. He had left a will. That is why the royal court allowed a blood test through a magical item so that the true heir could be proven. Sestopich first put Alya's blood into the magical globe. Then he added Sir Famous's blood, which the royal court had kept safe for years. Inside the globe, a flower-shaped crystal formed, which was proof of blood relation. After this, the test was repeated with Eliza's, meaning Alya's mother's blood, and the result was the same. Clear proof that Alya was the daughter of both of them. Seeing this, Dennis and Vivia became happy, but Alya still looked sad. In the courtroom, the judge started the proceedings, and Alya's uncle, Sir Joseph, immediately started taunting Dennis. Dennis remembered that Sir Joseph was one of Captain Vigo's clients, and he thought to himself that this man had troubled his little girl. The judge warned Dennis and called his name Dennis Blakes. Hearing this, Vivia noticed that this was quite a famous name. Then the judge read Sir Famous's will, which clearly stated that Lady Alya was the true heir born from his legal wife. Therefore, all wealth and power would go to her, while Sir Joseph would only receive the family's books and secret knowledge. Then a fat noble stood up and admitted that Alya was Famus's daughter, but said that she was not worthy of becoming the heir because her mother was just a low-ranking mistress. To this, Sestopich immediately replied that this blood test was happening, precisely to end this nonsense. But Sir Joseph, with a smug smile, called it a waste of time, which made Dennis even more angry. The doctor stepped forward, and Alya got so scared that she grabbed Dennis's sleeve. Dennis softly comforted her while the blood was taken. After this, the judge told everyone to pick sticks to decide who would use the magical item so that there would be no cheating. Dennis picked the first stick, but it was not red. One by one, everyone picked, and in the end, Stevens was selected. The old butler got soaked in sweat while climbing the stairs and started trembling. He first put Alya's blood, then her father's blood. The crystal confirmed it. Dennis took a sigh of relief, but as soon as Stevens put Eliza's blood, the crystal formed for just a second and melted into dark goo. The entire courtroom went into shock. Sir Joseph smugly said that he had already said this was a waste of time. Sestopich requested a repeat test, but the judge refused. The judge declared that the will was half true. Therefore, House Walkstock's wealth and power would go to Sir Joseph, and Alya would only inherit the knowledge. Sir Joseph said with a smile that he had no problem, because the insult would still be to his brother's daughter. Just then, Dennis noticed that Stevens was quietly standing, pressing a cloth on his hand. Dennis slammed his hand on the table in anger and grabbed Stevens by the collar. He revealed that he had faked the test by using his own blood. Stevens broke down and confessed that Lord Joseph had promised to make him the head butler. Dennis punished him with fire magic and knocked him down. The judge angrily said to stop insulting the law, but Dennis shouted that the real criminals were those who rigged the lottery, faked the blood test, and tortured an innocent girl. Guards rushed in. Dennis said in anger that he would turn anyone who hurt Alya into ash. The guards also got scared, but they attacked on Sir Joseph's order. Dennis said if they wanted, he could show them hell. Just then, Vivia stopped him and asked if he became the enemy of the entire kingdom, who would take care of Alya? Hearing this, Dennis calmed down and looked at Alya's scared face. After the hearing, Sestopich informed that the case had been dismissed. Dennis regretted that he shouldn't have brought Alya here at all. Then they all went towards the library so they could see the knowledge and books that Alya had inherited. Going inside, Sestopich said that earlier this place used to be a proper library, but now it had mostly become a storage room. Yes, perhaps some valuable things might still be left. Stepping over a broken wooden plank, Dennis told Alya to walk carefully, but just before receiving the warning, Alya stepped on a magic circle and fell straight into the basement. Reaching down, they found a hidden room filled with mountains of books. As Vivia and Sestopich started turning some pages, they realized that this place was full of ancient tomes and grimoires, so rare that they were practically at the level of national treasures. And as Sestopich picked up 2 more books, he explained that humanity's lost history was packed in this entire secret room. At this moment, Sestopich thought that perhaps Alya's father had left this real treasure for her from the beginning. He left the will for this reason too, and had already guessed that his greedy brother would try to steal it. Dennis laughed slightly at this irony and asked Alya what she wanted to do with all this. The little girl said without thinking much that she wanted to give everything to the restaurant. The next morning, Dennis got tired of waiting for Vivia because he had overslept. While going out, a man stopped him. That man's face was exactly like Dennis's, but his aura felt completely different. Dennis angrily shouted at Vivia to come quickly, and the man standing in front just smiled and said that Dennis was a good name and let Vivia go. Just then a girl, Fiorenza, came to that shadowy man, addressed him as Master Heath, and asked who that boy was. Heath calmly revealed that it was about the counterpart he had told her about earlier. A few days later, Bokal was managing the long line outside Dennis's restaurant. Inside, Henrietta and Vivia were enjoying his food as always, and noticed that since the news of Alya's inheritance books spread, the place had become much busier. Seeing the legendary books, customers made so much noise that Dennis had to shout, "If you are done eating, get out. I am not running a library here." As soon as he resumed cooking, a man wearing a turban requested Dennis and said that the cure for his wife's illness was written in one of those books. Hearing this, Dennis just looked at Alya, and the cute maid thought for a second and said, "Exception just this once." Seeing this, others also started requesting, but Dennis scared them straight away. That man knelt in front of Alya and said thanks and quickly left the restaurant. Customers started increasing even more, and Dennis started cooking at full speed with his magic. Vivia got a little worried that he might overwork himself, but Dennis thought that it was necessary to match the pace with demand. He prepared the food for the entire table in just a few seconds, seeing which Alya was absolutely amazed. Meanwhile, Dennis's mind went into the past. He remembered when he was alone on the streets. His feet were freezing in the cold rain. brain. Then he saw a lady drop her wallet. Instead of stealing, he picked up the wallet and gave it back to that lady. The lady was shocked that the one who needed it the most was returning it. After his innocent reply, that lady took him to her home, where for the first time, Dennis sat at a table and ate delicious food. As soon as he took a bite, all his sadness and dull life seemed to vanish. That lady's smile and warm touch were his last memories. And then he opened his eyes, lying on the bed with a high fever. Everyone with worried faces told him that he had suddenly fainted. Dennis tried to get up as if nothing had happened because he was worried about the restaurant. But when he saw Alya's worried face, and Bokal told him that the restaurant had already been closed for today, he lay back down and said sorry. Seeing Alya's sad face, he asked what happened. Vivia said that Alya was scared. She thought Dennis might have got some dangerous disease and would never wake up. Hearing this, Dennis laughed and fell asleep again the next second. Vivia told the girls that according to the doctor, it was just a normal cold. But in his mind, he felt that Dennis had burned out due to so many customers. Everyone decided to let him rest and left from there. But Alya stopped. She pulled a chair near the bed and sat down absolutely quiet. Henrietta and Vivia wanted to be able to help somehow. Then Bokal got a smart idea to make porridge for Dennis. Vivia agreed that good food was necessary for health. And hearing this, Henrietta got fully excited, scared of the fire. She wore her armor and went to find ingredients in a cheerful mood. A little later, she brought a giant slab of meat, which was clearly not for porridge. Seeing this, Vivia got a little nervous. As soon as Henrietta took out her sword and started cutting the meat, Vivia stopped her so that the shelf wouldn't get cut in half. Over there, Bokal was going to Alya with ice, but panic ensued seeing both of them fighting and shouting. Hearing the noise, Sestapich also came to see what was happening. Over there, Alya silently watched Dennis. His breathing was heavy. The fever was not coming down. The ice pack fell to the side. When she checked his fever, she felt that all this happened because of her. She remembered how Dennis always went all out for her, knowing that he would always stand for her protection. She put the ice pack back and silently prayed from her heart that Dennis would get well soon. At the same time, Dennis dreamed of an old memory when he played a prank on a chef and ran away through the window. Seeing this, the head lady asked what happened, and that chef told her that Dennis had turned his chopped cabbage completely into powder and said that this little boy perhaps forgot that he owed his life to this place. Little Dennis, hiding outside, peeked in, and that man told the head lady that he should be punished, but she just smiled and said there was no use. This child is one who understands himself with time. Hearing this, Dennis was left a bit stunned. A little later, Dennis came with full excitement, carrying his best fried rice, which he had made by copying the head lady's dish, using the disassemble skill. He quietly entered the kitchen of Black's restaurant and offered them his fried rice. She was surprised how such a small chef could make a dish with such a smell. Dennis proudly asked them to taste it, but as soon as she took a bite, the taste was so bad that her health worsened. Chefs and waitresses came immediately. When the head lady asked what happened, someone said that Dennis had served spoiled rice. She looked at the scared boy, then calmly removed the bad parts of the dish with her magic and confidently asked them to taste it again. Everyone watched in suspense. As soon as she took a bite again, she was shocked and said the taste was actually good. Just one special seasoning was missing. Later, when the kitchen was empty, Dennis came with a guilty face and apologized for using the wrong skill. The head lady lovingly explained to him how important it is to use the right skill at the right place. Hearing just this, Dennis started crying bitterly because he was truly proud of his fried rice. She told him to learn to focus on his studies and listen to his seniors. Dennis was amazed at how she knew he used the disassemble skill and how she instantly fixed everything with her combined skill. She simply said it was no big deal, and people didn't know her as legendary fried rice for nothing. Hearing this, Dennis asked if he could also ever become that famous. When she said yes, his face lit up. Coming back to the present, Vivia asked Sestapich why he came. Sestapich revealed that he had a great passion for magic knowledge, and he wanted to read one special book from the books Alya received. Then he said making something for Dennis was more important. As soon as Henrietta mentioned porridge, he said making rice first was necessary. Henrietta reminded him again that they were making porridge, not rice. Then he explained with full seriousness that making perfect rice was the base of real porridge. That's why he said first they had to learn to make rice with magic. Bokal and Vivia immediately agreed with the Sestapich magic lover lawyer, who revealed that earlier he himself was very passionate about magic. Both understood that fire magic would have to be controlled with absolutely surgical accuracy. Sestapich suggested using phantom flames because their power could be controlled by increasing or decreasing mana, while Henrietta watched in confusion from behind. Vivia pointed out that phantom fire didn't make rice crispy. Henrietta immediately said that porridge wasn't even crispy. Still, Sestapich wasn't convinced, so Bokal suggested using a combo of normal and phantom fire. Then Vivia brought up another strange problem that made Sestapich's head spin. The magic nerds kept piling theory upon theory. Henrietta sat down peacefully to drink tea. Finally, Sestapich suggested an ultra ultimate technique that used both fire magic and a catalyst. But before taking the next step, everyone got tired and decided to take a break. Just then, the fat Polvo arrived. Henrietta was happy he brought a gift for Dennis, but the merchant said he was selling things at half price. Vivia understood his scheme. Then Henrietta saw a rice cooker on the list, and Sestapich became absolutely speechless. Polvo said that this magic rice cooker made perfect rice. Henrietta said they had to make porridge with fire magic. Polvo grinned and said that it had a porridge mode too. Henrietta asked if that meant no fire magic was needed. Polvo himself got confused and asked when making porridge, why cook rice first? Just boil water and add rice. Hearing this, the magic team got embarrassed. After Polvo and Sestapich left, the three waited for the rice cooker. Just then, Alya came down and informed them that Dennis's fever was going down. Henrietta felt relieved because now he would be able to eat porridge. But Alya looked and said eggs were also needed. Then she cracked eggs so smoothly that the other three just kept watching. While stirring eggs, Bokal said she had never eaten sweet eggs. Henrietta also agreed. When Vivia said he didn't like sweet eggs, Henrietta was shocked, and Bokal became curious if there was anything he didn't hate. After thinking a little, Henrietta said with a straight face that she didn't like leather shoes. It took time for Vivia and Bokal to understand. Then she revealed that in her childhood, leather shoes were eaten at her home. Vivia asked with regret, why? And she proudly said her father used to say leather was made from animals and animals were edible. It just didn't taste good. Bokal was moved to tears. Vivia said to stop the topic right here, otherwise it would get more depressing. Meanwhile, Alya kept stirring the eggs absolutely calmly. That same night, Dennis regained consciousness when Alya gently opened the door. Dennis was genuinely shocked when he saw that Alya had made the egg porridge herself. Taking just one bite, he remembered the same warmth he once felt while eating his master's fried rice. He immediately thanked that little cook for that delicious dinner. Then, becoming a little curious, he asked if she really made it herself. And Alya, with a cute smile, showed him how she stirred the eggs, which made Dennis's chest swell with a bit more pride. Just then, Alya casually said that the porridge was made by Polvo, and as soon as she repeated this a second time, Dennis absolutely flipped out. Only one question was in his mind. What was Polvo doing here? The next day came, and Henrietta was walking in the market in a cheerful mood, humming when she met with Vivia. Vivia was shocked seeing her huge backpack. Henrietta said a bit shyly that she got a little too excited for the big dinner. On the way, a merchant asked why both regulars were not seen in the restaurant today. Both looked at each other, grinned, and said today was a special day. Back in the restaurant, Bokal and Alya entered and saw Dennis packing supplies. He was proudly wearing the shiny bracelet Alya had given him. Dennis told her it wasn't necessary to wear the apron everywhere, but Alya straight up refused because she liked it. Just then, Vivia and Henrietta arrived fully ready, and Dennis announced that it was time to roll out. Before leaving, Henrietta double-checked. Towels, extra soap, buckets, everything. Then everyone went to the bathhouse, and as soon as Vivia saw Dennis's jacked body and rock-solid six-pack, he completely lost it. Dennis flexed a little and said, "This is a real man's body," and Vivia showered him with compliments upon compliments. He asked for the secret. Dennis turned the conversation around and roasted Vivia, asking why he was weak like a broomstick. Vivia said mages didn't need muscles, but Dennis casually said that if he did 2,000 handstand push-ups daily, everything was possible. Clearly, the guy had crossed human limits. Then Dennis bullied Vivia for wearing clothes in the public bath until he stripped. Meanwhile, on the side, Henrietta was happily shampooing Alya's silky hair. After the bath, everyone gathered at a grand dining table where the best food and drinks were arranged. Dennis gave Henrietta the honors for the speech. At first, she stiffened up and started giving a thank you speech in an absolutely robotic tone. Dennis told her to relax, and she went back to her goofy mode. Henrietta proudly announced that, after freeloading, she had finally found a job. Everyone clapped. She explained that she had joined the Night Order, where she would be able to help people. Then Dennis asked Vivia, and he also revealed that he had found a new party. It was a small party, but for him, it was the first step to becoming a great mage. The girls cheered. Henrietta was happy that both were no longer jobless. Vivia immediately said not to club him with that freeloader because he always paid his bills. Dennis also teased him. Now it was Bokal's turn. She said she would go back home after becoming a teacher at the capital's magic academy. Dennis remembered that she had received the offer even before graduation. Vivia genuinely complimented her, and Bokal blushed. Dennis raised a toast to the new chapters in everyone's lives, and the barbecue feast started. Dennis drank beer as if there was no tomorrow. Alya showed Bokal her grilling skills. Vivia was happy, but also a little sad because everyone would separate soon. Vivia admitted he would feel lonely. Henrietta thought maybe she should delay the job a bit. Dennis called both of them idiots and told them to walk on their chosen paths without hesitation. His words made everyone a little stronger. Henrietta said she was ready to leave town tomorrow itself, but Alya, with a smug smile, reminded her that her job hadn't even started yet. Then Dennis tossed rice in the pan in a dramatic style. Sparks of light came out. Seasoning fell, and in just a few seconds, 5-star fried rice was ready. Everyone was stunned. Just as everyone was about to eat, A strange chewing sound of a sweaty merchant came from the side. Polvo confessed that he couldn't control the smell. Dennis recognized that this was the same shady merchant who was competing for Alya earlier. He forgot the name, so Polvo got a little hurt. But as soon as Alya said his name, he went into flirt mode again. Dennis straight up said to stay away from the poster girl. Then he said thanks for the rice cooker, which allowed him to taste Alya's egg porridge, which was so good that he planned to add it to the menu. Polvo revealed that he had brought top-tier hamjan beef for the special feast. All three started drooling and happily accepted it. Meat flew in the air. Dennis sliced with precision. Perfect grill cuts. The taste was so insane that everyone was amazed. Polvo got a little depressed because he wanted to impress Alya. But as soon as Alya fed Dennis, the guy started crying out of jealousy and said to feed him too. Dennis gave the choice, and Alya fulfilled his wish. In one bite, Polvo blacked out with a nosebleed. After dinner, Vivia hesitated a little and told Dennis that he had wanted to ask a personal question for a long time. He reminded him of the court scene when the judge called him Dennis Blakes, and from there a doubt came into his mind, whether Dennis had any relation with the Blakes family. Dennis calmly explained that he got this family name from the head lady who adopted him, but later, after a serious fight, he stopped using this surname. Hearing about the fight, Vivia became curious, so Dennis opened up a bit about his past. He revealed that when he reached level 99, he had become a little too arrogant about his strength. At that time, he didn't understand that the head lady just wanted to keep him humble. Vivia was shocked to hear that a person like Dennis was also arrogant once, but then he also felt that reaching level 99 at such a young age was no small feat. Dennis smiled slightly and said he thought he could easily cross level 100 too. Cross level 100. With this confidence, he left Black's restaurant just to prove what he could do. Only after that did he go to the Silver Wing Battalion, where he spent the most time. The party treated him well, but still, he never reached level 100. Over in the town, those two regular girls were excited about tonight's dinner, thinking about what they would eat today. But as soon as they reached the restaurant, their excitement ended right there because a board was up saying, closed due to personal business. Just then, suddenly two thugs pushed one of the girls hard. When the second girl tried to intervene, one thug showed a knife and threatened them, and both ran away. The girl's patience ran out. The blonde girl immediately summoned a magic bow and shot an arrow straight where it hurts the most. Her friend punished the other one with her magic. Both laughed while delivering justice. Just then, their gaze fell on a large crowd that had gathered near the restaurant, seeing a fire. And with this part ends here. The next part will come on January 26th, in which it will be revealed who set the restaurant on fire, and if there is anyone else behind this. So see you in the next part. Do surely tell your guess by commenting, and don't forget to subscribe. That is all I ask. Do it now. And yes, heartfelt best wishes for Republic Day, January 26th in advance. Write Jai in the comments.